Federal Marshal Benjamin Carter stood in the shadows of the burned courthouse, sifting through wet ash and bitter memory. Elizabeth Thornton's testimony was supposed to happen today. Instead, she was missing her handler dead, and the star witness against the Garrison crime syndicate had vanished into the New Mexico desert with her two young daughters. Ben knew he should report it, wait for backup, follow protocol. But the blood on the safe house floor was still fresh, and the small handprint in it, a child's handprint, made his decision for him. Elizabeth was running, and she had maybe 3 hours head start on professional killers. He found her trail easily enough. She was smart but untrained, and traveling with a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old left obvious signs. The abandoned wagon 2 miles out, the torn fabric on mesquite thorns heading toward the canyon lands, the tiny footprints beside her longer strides showing how she'd carried one child while the other walked. Ben tracked them through the night, pushing his horse hard, knowing the Garrison men wouldn't be far behind. As dawn broke over the red rocks, he finally spotted them. 3 figures huddled beneath an overhang, the morning light revealing what darkness had hidden. Elizabeth Thornton was nothing like her photograph. The official picture showed a society wife, soft-pampered, decorative. The woman before him was lean muscle and desperation, her silk dress traded for men's traveling clothes, her carefully coiffed hair now pulled back in a practical braid. But it was her eyes that stopped him, green as sage, fierce as a mother wolf holding a derringer aimed steady at his heart. "Stay back," she warned, pulling her daughters closer. "Mrs. Thornton, I'm Federal Marshal Benjamin Carter. I'm here to help." The last marshal who said that is dead. Henderson was a good man, but he was also predictable. "I'm not." Ben slowly removed his badge, tossed it to land at her feet. "Your husband's men are maybe 4 hours behind me. Less if they rode through the night. We need to move." She laughed bitterly. "Marshal, every lawman in 3 states is either bought by Richard or terrified of him. Why should I trust you? Because I know what Richard Garrison did to your sister 10 years ago, before he married you, before he became respectable." Elizabeth's gun wavered. "How could you know about Margaret?" "Because I was the deputy who found her body, who tried to build a case, who was shut down by a corrupt sheriff and transferred to Kansas for my trouble." "Ben." The older daughter, Rose, peered around her mother. "Uncle Ben." His heart clenched. She remembered him. "Hello, Rosie, you've grown." "Mama said you went away, that Daddy made you go away." "He did. But I'm back now." Elizabeth's gun hand was shaking. "You were at the wedding. You tried to warn me. You were in love. He was charming. You didn't want to hear that your fiancé had murdered your sister and made it look like suicide." "I know that now." Her voice was hollow. "I found the letters, Margaret's letters to you begging for help, in his private safe like trophies. Is that why you agreed to testify? That and the other things? The murders, the trafficking, the—" She glanced at her daughters. Things children shouldn't know about their father. The younger girl, Lily, tugged on Elizabeth's sleeve. "Mama, I'm hungry." "I know, sweetheart. Soon." Ben pulled jerky and hardtack from his saddlebags, offered them to the children. Lily took them eagerly, but Rose hung back suspicious, like her mother. "It's not poisoned, Rosie. Look." He took a bite himself, exaggerating enjoyment. Delicious, dried leather." Rose giggled despite herself, and something in Elizabeth's expression softened. "We can't stay here," Ben said. "There's a mining camp about 8 miles north. Abandoned but defensible. We can rest, figure out next steps. And then what, every safe house is compromised. Every marshal potentially bought. Where can we go that Richard won't find us?" "I know a place, but first we need to make them think you're dead." "How?" Ben smiled grimly. "Leave that to me. Can you ride?" "Yes." "Both girls on one horse, if necessary." "It's necessary. We need to move fast." They rode hard through the morning, Ben constantly checking their back trail. The girls were exhausted but brave, Rose holding Lily as they shared Ben's horse while Elizabeth rode his pack horse. The abandoned mining camp was a collection of rotting buildings clinging to a mountainside, but the mine shaft went deep into the mountain, providing escape routes if needed. "Home sweet home," Ben said, helping the girls down. "It's scary," Lily whispered. "It's safe," Rose corrected, already protective like her mother. "That's what matters." They set up in the old foreman's office, sturdy walls, one entrance, windows with good sight lines. Ben gave Elizabeth his spare rifle. You know how to use this. Richard made sure I learned. Said a Garrison woman should be able to defend herself. She laughed bitterly. He never thought I'd need to defend myself from him. While the girls slept exhausted, Ben and Elizabeth kept watch. Why? She asked quietly. Why risk your career, your life for us? I told you, Margaret. It's more than that. You loved her. Ben was quiet for a long moment. I did. We were going to run away together, start fresh in California. Then Richard decided he wanted her. And when she refused, he made sure she couldn't refuse anyone ever again. Elizabeth touched his hand gently. She wrote about you in her diary, said you were the only good man she'd ever met. I failed her. You were one deputy against the Garrison Empire. You couldn't have saved her. Maybe not. But I can save you. Her sister, her nieces. Ben, Elizabeth's voice was soft. I'm not Margaret. I know. He looked at her, really looked at her. You're stronger than she was, tougher. She was like spring rain, gentle, sweet. You're like a desert storm, fierce, surprising, beautiful, in a different way. You barely know me. I know you shot your way out of a safe house with 2 federal marshals dead and still got your daughters to safety. I know you're willing to testify against a man who terrifies hardened criminals. I know you loved your sister enough to marry her killer to get close enough for revenge. Elizabeth startled. How did you? Why else would a woman like you marry a man like him? You suspected him from the beginning. I thought I could find proof. Instead, I found myself pregnant, trapped playing the perfect wife while he did terrible things. She looked at her sleeping daughters. They're the only good things to come from this nightmare. They're safe now. For how long Richard has resources connections? Hoofbeats interrupted her. Multiple riders coming fast. Take the girls into the mine, Ben ordered. Follow the cart tracks. Take the left fork. It leads to another exit on the far side of the mountain. If I don't follow in an hour, keep going north. There's a Navajo settlement 20 miles that way. Ask for Joseph Yazzie. Tell him Ben Carter sent you. You're not coming. Someone needs to make them think you died here. Ben, go now. Elizabeth woke the girls, hustled them into the mine. Rose looked back once her young face old with understanding. Be careful, Uncle Ben. Always him, sweetheart. Ben waited until they were deep in the mine, then set his trap. When Richard's men arrived, 6 of them led by his enforcer, Cole Vance, they found evidence of a struggle. Blood Ben's own from a deliberate cut, torn cloth from Elizabeth's dress, a child's doll abandoned in apparent flight. They went into the mine, Vance said, studying the tracks Ben had carefully laid. Could be a trap. Could be. Send Martinez and Jones in first. Ben waited in the darkness as 2 men entered, then triggered the dynamite he'd placed earlier. The explosion collapsed the mine entrance, seemingly burying anyone inside. Jesus Christ, someone shouted. Through the dust and confusion, Ben circled back, appearing from the opposite direction like he'd just arrived. What the hell happened here? He demanded, badge prominent. Vance spun, gun drawn. Marshal, should have known you'd be involved. Involved in what? I'm tracking fugitives, heard an explosion. The Thornton woman, she was here. Ben looked at the collapsed mine entrance. Was messed on, bitch blew herself up rather than come back. And the children with her, presumably. Ben made a show of examining the scene, shaking his head. Damn shame, those girls didn't deserve this. And their mother should have thought of that before betraying Richard Garrison. I'll need to file a report, confirm the deaths. Dig them out yourself if you want. We're done here. Vance mounted up. Richard will want confirmation, though. He's particular about loose ends. Tell Garrison the Federal Marshal Service will investigate thoroughly. If they survive that collapse, we'll find them. After they left, Ben waited another hour before entering the mine through the hidden entrance he'd found earlier. He found Elizabeth and the girls at the designated spot, scared but safe. Uncle Ben, Lily launched herself at him. We heard a big boom. Just some fireworks, sweetheart. Had to make the bad men think we were gone. Did it work? Elizabeth asked. For now, but Garrison won't believe it without bodies. We bought time, not safety. So what now? Now we disappear for real, all of us. Us, my cover's blown. The moment Garrison doesn't get bodies, he'll know I helped you. We're all fugitives now. Elizabeth studied him. You planned this. You knew saving us would end your career. Some things matter more than careers. Ben Carter, are you always this noble? Only on Tuesdays. Lucky for you, it's Tuesday. Rose tugged on his sleeve. Does this mean you're staying with us? Ben looked at Elizabeth, asking permission with his eyes. She nodded slightly. Yeah, Rosie, I'm staying. They traveled at night for a week, taking forgotten trails through Apache country. Ben had friends among the tribesmen he'd helped escape false charges, families he'd protected from corrupt Indian agents. They provided food, shelter, and most importantly, silence. You trust them, Elizabeth asked one evening as they camped near a sacred spring. More than I trust most whites. They understand honor, loyalty, concepts Richard Garrison never grasped. He grasps ownership. I was property to him like the girls. You're no one's property now. No, then what am I? A federal witness without protection, a mother who can't provide for her children, a widow who isn't widowed. You're alive, that's what matters. Is it enough? Ben watched her in the firelight, exhausted, frightened, but unbroken. It's a start. They'd been traveling for 10 days when Rose developed a fever. It came on fast, turning her flushed and delirious within hours. We need a doctor, Elizabeth said, panic in her voice. The nearest town is Sage Creek, but Richard owns the sheriff there. Not anymore. Sheriff Collins died last month. New man Tom Baker. He's honest, or supposed to be. We can't risk it. We can't not risk it. Ben touched Rose's burning forehead. This is serious, Jason. They rode through the night, Rose bundled in Ben's arms while Elizabeth carried Lily. Sage Creek was sleeping when they arrived, but the doctor's light was on a blessing. Dr. Durham. Whitman was old, competent, and discreet. He took one look at Rose and started working without questions. Scarlet fever. She needs rest, medicine, and prayers. Will she? Elizabeth couldn't finish. She's strong. With care, she should recover. But she can't travel for at least 2 weeks. 2 weeks in one place. It might as well have been forever. Ben made a decision. We'll stay, but not as ourselves. He found the sheriff at dawn, spinning a tale of being a traveling gun salesman with his wife and daughters. Tom Baker was young earnest and bought the story completely. Welcome to Sage Creek, Mr. Campbell, John Campbell. This is my wife, Mary. Elizabeth played along perfectly, the grateful wife worried about her sick daughter. They rented a small house on the edge of town, and for 2 weeks they played family. It was torture and paradise combined. Torture because Ben watched Elizabeth tend her children, cook meals, create a home from nothing, and wanted it all to be real. Paradise for the same reasons. You're staring, Elizabeth said one evening as she mended Lily's dress. Sorry. Don't be, it's nice. Richard never looked at me like I was worth seeing. You're worth seeing, Elizabeth. Even now, exhausted, frightened, living a lie. Especially now, you're real now. I don't even know what real is anymore. I've been playing parts so long, perfect, daughter grieving, sister trophy, wife federal witness. Mother, Ben said softly, that's real. The way you are with Rose and Lily. That's who you really are. And who are you really? A man who's been sleepwalking for 10 years, who woke up the moment he saw you in that canyon, fierce and frightened and magnificent. Ben, I know, wrong time, wrong circumstances, wrong everything. But Elizabeth, when this is over, it's never going to be over. Richard doesn't forgive, doesn't forget. Even if he goes to prison, he has resources. Then we disappear completely. New names, new lives. If you'll have me, I know I can't replace their father. Their father is a monster they're better off forgetting. Still, I'm just a broken down marshal with more enemies than friends. Elizabeth set down her mending cross to where he sat. You're the man who saved our lives, who gave up everything to protect us, who reads to Lily every night and teaches Rose to whittle and makes me feel safe for the first time in years. Elizabeth, she kissed him, soft and tentative. Wrong time. Perfect time. They were interrupted by Rose calling out, her fever finally breaking. They rushed to her side and Rose smiled weakly. Mama, Uncle Ben, was I sick? Very sick, sweetheart, but you're better now. Are we staying here for a little while? Good, I like it here. We're like a real family. Elizabeth and Ben exchanged glances over her head. We are a real family, Rosie, Ben said quietly. The illusion shattered 3 days later. Ben was at the general store when he saw him, Cole Vance Richards' enforcer, talking to Sheriff Baker. His blood went cold. He slipped out the back, ran for the house. Elizabeth was teaching Lily letters while Rose rested. Pack, now, they found us. Elizabeth didn't question, just moved. They'd practiced this grab the essentials, leave everything else. In 5 minutes they were ready, but it was too late. Vance and 4 men surrounded the house. Marshal Carter, Vance called. Or should I say Mr. Campbell? Come out, bring the woman and children. Get in the root cellar, Ben told Elizabeth. There's a tunnel leads to the old well. Take the girls and run. Not without you. Elizabeth. No, we stay together, or not at all. Mama. Lily was frightened. It's okay, baby. Elizabeth checked her rifle. Uncle Ben and I are going to handle this. Ben looked at her, this society woman turned warrior, and made a choice. Vance, he called out, let's talk term. No terms. Richard wants his wife and daughters back. And if they don't want to go, then they die here, you too. Counteroffer, single combat, you and me. I win, you leave us alone. You win. Ben glanced at Elizabeth. We come quietly. Ben, no, Elizabeth protested. Trust me, he whispered. Vance laughed. You're in no position to negotiate. No. Check your 6 o'clock position. Vance turned. Joseph Yazzie and 12 Apache warriors had materialized from nowhere, weapons trained on Vance's men. My friends don't like trespassers, Ben said. So, single combat? Or do we see who runs out of ammunition first? Vance considered, then nodded. Single combat. But when I kill you, the woman comes willingly. I'm not property to be wagered, Elizabeth said coldly. You're Richard Garrison's wife. That makes you exactly that. They met in the street, the town gathering to watch. Sheriff Baker tried to intervene but backed down when he saw the Apache warriors. Federal matter, Sheriff, Ben said. Best stand aside. Vance was fast, brutal, experienced. Ben was all those things, plus desperate. He fought not for honor or duty, but for the family he'd chosen. The fight was savage. Fists, knives, eventually guns. Both men bloodied, both wounded. In the end, it came down to will. Vance had a knife to Ben's throat when Rose's voice rang out. Uncle Ben, remember what you taught me. The whittling lesson. How to turn your opponent's strength against them. Ben went limp. Let Vance's weight carry him forward, then twisted, reversed, ended with his own knife at Vance's throat. Yield, he growled. Richard will never stop hunting you. Then Richard will waste a lot of resources, yield or die. Vance yielded. As his men carried him away, Vance looked back. This isn't over. It is for you, Joseph Yazzie said calmly. You come back, you don't leave. The desert is hungry and we know how to feed it. After they left, Sheriff Baker approached. Marshal Carter. Because that's who you are, isn't it? I got a telegram about you. About her. About federal witnesses on the run. Ben tensed, but Baker continued. Telegram got lost. Shame. Never did find it. You folks planning on staying in Sage Creek? That depends. You planning on finding that telegram? Nope. Town needs a deputy. Man with federal experience would be ideal. His family would be welcome. Protected. Sheriff. Richard Garrison's reach is long, but it doesn't reach here, not anymore. Baker looked at the Apache warriors. Seems you've got friends. That matters in Sage Creek. Elizabeth stepped forward. We're fugitives. You're witnesses. And from what I hear, Richard Garrison's about to have bigger problems than one missing wife. Federal investigation. Something about murdered marshals. Man might not live to see trial way, I hear it. Ben and Elizabeth exchanged glances. We'll consider your offer, Ben said. Good. Town needs good people. Don't much care where they come from or what they're running from, long as they're good people. That night in the house that might become their home, Elizabeth found Ben on the porch watching stars. We could stay, she said. Build a life here. Is that what you want? I want my daughters safe. I want to stop running. She sat beside him. I want you. Elizabeth. I know we've only known each other weeks. I know it's too fast, too complicated. But Ben, when I thought Vance might kill you today, I realized something. What? That I love you, not because you saved us, not because you're good with the girls, but because you see me. The real me, not the roles I've played. I love you too, have since that morning in the canyon. And so we become the Campbells permanently. If you'll marry me, make it real. Ben Carter, is that a proposal? Elizabeth Thornton, it is. Then yes, but I have conditions. Name them. The girls call you Papa if they want. We tell them the truth about their father when they're older. And we live honestly, no more lies except the ones that keep us safe. Agreed, my condition. What? We get married tomorrow. I don't want to wait another day to call you my wife. They were married by Sheriff Baker, who turned out to be an ordained minister from his previous life. Joseph Yazzie and Dr. Whitman witnessed while Rose and Lily served as flower girls. Do you, John Campbell, take Mary Campbell? Baker winked at the false names. To be your lawfully wedded wife. I do. Do you, Mary Campbell, take this man as your husband, protector, and partner? I do. Then by the authority vested in me by God in the territory of New Mexico, I pronounce you husband and wife. Ben kissed Elizabeth as their daughters cheered and the Apache warriors fired rifles in celebration. That night, as the girls slept in their new permanent home, Elizabeth and Ben stood in their bedroom, nervous as teenagers. Since Richard, I haven't wanted, Elizabeth struggled. We have time. All the time you need. No, I want this. Want you. I just need you to know it might take time for me to not flinch. Then we'll go slow. Erase every bad memory with good ones. They did go slow. Ben gentle and patient, Elizabeth gradually relaxing, trusting, eventually passionate. When they lay together afterwards, she was crying. Did I hurt you, Tex? No, God, no. I'm crying because I didn't know it could be like that. Tender, loving, equal. This is just the beginning. Promise. Promise, Wabbe. 2 weeks later, news arrived that changed everything. Richard Garrison was dead, killed in federal custody. Officially a suicide. Unofficially. The other prisoners, Sheriff Baker explained, seems some of them had daughters, didn't take kindly to what they learned about Richard's interest. Elizabeth felt nothing. No relief, no joy, just empty. It's over, Ben said. Is it his organization? Is in chaos. Federal prosecutors are having a field day. Without Richard, it's falling apart. So we're free as we want to be. Then I want to stay here, be Mary Campbell, build a life. What about testifying? There's no one to testify against now. That Elizabeth Thornton died in a mine collapse. Remember, I'm Mary Campbell, wife of John Campbell, mother of Rose and Lily Campbell. Ben pulled her close. Then Mary Campbell, you are. Life in Sage Creek settled into rhythm. Ben became deputy, well-liked and respected. Elizabeth started a school teaching local children, including her own. The girls thrived, Rose growing strong and thoughtful, Lily bright and artistic. A year passed, then two. The false names became real through daily use. The manufactured family became genuine through love. On their second wedding anniversary, Elizabeth gave Ben news that terrified and thrilled him. I'm pregnant. What? How? She laughed. The usual way, I assume. But a baby, our baby. Our bam, due in spring. The girls, Akos, are ecstatic. Rose wants a brother. Lily wants a sister. And you? What do you want? Healthy, happy, yours. Benjamin Campbell Jr. was born during a desert thunderstorm, coming fast and fierce like his parents' love. He had his mother's green eyes and his father's steady temperament. He's perfect, Rose declared, now 11 and protective. Can we keep him? Lily asked, 8 and still innocent. Forever, Elizabeth promised. As Ben held his son, his wife beside him, his daughters close, he thought about the journey that brought them here. A murdered woman's sister. A marshal seeking redemption. 2 girls who needed a father. They'd been thrown together by violence, bonded by danger, and somehow become a family. Regrets, Elizabeth asked their old ritual. Just one. What? That I didn't find you sooner. You found us exactly when we needed you, when you needed us. 5 more years passed. Ben became sheriff when Baker retired. Elizabeth's school grew to 3 teachers. Rose at 16 wanted to become a doctor. Lily, 13, showed artistic talent that might take her to Paris someday. Little Ben, 5, was hell on wheels and the joy of their lives. Then the past returned. A woman arrived on the stage, elegant, familiar, impossible. Hello, Elizabeth. Margaret, her sister Margaret supposed to be dead 12 years. You're dead. Richard showed me your body. A woman who looked like me. Richard was thorough, but not perfect. I escaped barely. I've been in Europe hiding, waiting. For what? For Richard to die, for it to be safe, for a chance to see you again. Elizabeth felt the world tilt. All these years, you let me think you were dead. To protect you, Richard would have killed you if he knew you were in contact with me. I married him to avenge you. I know, I'm sorry, but Elizabeth, it's Mary now, Mary Campbell. Margaret looked at Ben at the children. You built a beautiful family. We built a real family, Ben said protective. I'm not here to destroy it. I'm here to say goodbye properly and to give you this. She handed Elizabeth a letter. Mother's real will, not the forgery Richard produced. Your sole heir. The estates, the money, it's all yours. Elizabeth looked at the letter without opening it. I don't want it. What? That life died when Elizabeth Thornton died. I'm Mary Campbell. This is my family. That money is blood money. It's millions, Elizabeth. Mary, my name is Mary. She handed the letter back. Give it to charity. Build hospitals. I don't care. That's not my life anymore. Margaret stared at her sister, this woman who'd chosen love over wealth, truth over appearances. You've changed. I've become who I was meant to be. And you're happy, truly. Elizabeth looked at her family. Ben steady and true. Rose brilliant and determined. Lily creative and kind. Little Ben wild and joyful. Happier than I ever dreamed possible. Margaret left that evening promising to respect Elizabeth's wishes. The money went to found hospitals and schools across the territory, but the Campbell family never spoke of it. Years flowed like desert rain, rare, precious, transformative. Rose became a doctor, one of the first women to graduate from medical school. She returned to Sage Creek to practice bringing modern medicine to the frontier. Lily did go to Paris, became a renowned painter. Her most famous work, a portrait of her family, the marshal who became her father, the witness who became her mother herself, and her siblings, all standing before a simple house in New Mexico, looking not like refugees from violence, but like what they were, a family forged by choice and strengthened by love. Little Ben followed his father into the law enforcement, becoming a federal judge, known for his fairness and his understanding that justice and law weren't always the same thing. More children came, 3 more, each loved, each choosing their own paths. When Ben's hair was gray and Elizabeth's face lined with years of desert sun and laughter, they sat on their porch watching grandchildren play, where once they'd stood guard against assassins. Did you ever think, Elizabeth asked, when you were tracking me through that canyon, that we'd end up here? Never. I thought I was saving a witness. Instead, I found my life. I thought I was running to die. Instead, I ran straight into living. The girls don't remember, do they? The fear, the running. They remember you reading to them by campfires. Remember me teaching them to be strong. They remember becoming a family. Good memories to keep. The only ones that matter. A writer approached a federal marshal, young and earnest. Sheriff Campbell, I'm looking for Elizabeth Thornton about testimony regarding the Garrison syndicate. Ben and Elizabeth exchanged glances. Never heard of her, Ben said mildly, but records indicate, son, Elizabeth interrupted. Elizabeth Thornton died in a mine collapse nearly 20 years ago. Everyone knows that. But you're welcome to search, the town asked questions. But all you'll find are the Campbells. Been here since '80, boring family, really. Nothing interesting about us at all. The marshal left frustrated. The town, loyal to their sheriff and his wife, confirmed the story. The Campbells, lovely family. Been here forever. Nothing unusual about them at all. That night, their children and grandchildren gathered for Sunday dinner, filling the house with noise and love. Tell us the story, Grandpa, one grandchild begged. How you met Grandma? Ben smiled. Well, I was tracking this fierce lady through a canyon. He told the story edited for young ears, the adventure, the danger, the romance. But the heart of it remained true, 2 people running from different traumas who ran straight into each other and decided to stop running together. Later, as they prepared for bed in the room they'd shared for decades, Elizabeth said, we should write it down, the real story, for them to read someday. The truth about Richard, the murders, the running. All of it, so they understand that sometimes the greatest love stories begin with the worst circumstances. That families are not always born, sometimes they're built. That choosing to trust, to love, to stay, that's the real courage. So they wrote it together, the marshal and his witness, the full story of how they became the Campbells. They sealed it with instructions to be opened only after both had passed, to be shared with family, only to be remembered as proof that love could triumph over evil, that new lives could be built on the ashes of old ones. When Ben died at 82, Elizabeth held his hand and whispered, "Wait for me." When she followed 3 days later, their children weren't surprised. They'd been two halves of one whole for so long, neither could exist without the other. At their funeral, the federal government sent representatives. Somehow they'd learned the truth about the Campbells. They wanted to honor the marshal who'd given up everything to save a witness, the witness who'd risked everything to testify. But their children refused the honors. "Our parents were John and Mary Campbell," Rose said firmly. "They were nobody special, just two people who loved each other and their children. That's all the honor they need." The graves read simply, John Campbell, 1848 to 1930, Mary Campbell, 1852 to 1930. They chose each other. But those who knew their story understood the deeper truth that sometimes salvation comes not from safety, but from choosing to trust another broken soul, that families are built from courage, not blood, and that two people running from death might just run straight into life. The marshal's protected witness had become so much more: wife, mother, friend, the center of a family that spanned generations. And the marshal who tracked her had found what he'd never known he was looking for, not just a witness to protect, but a life to share, a love to cherish, and a future worth every sacrifice he'd made. Their love story became legend in Sage Creek, told differently by each generation, but always with the same ending: they chose each other against all odds, and that choice created something beautiful from something terrible. A family, a legacy, a love that outlasted every enemy who tried to destroy it.